have places where people live in fear within their own communities. And I challenge them to interview the people that they ignore on their news stations, or only come out when it's bloody streets. I challenge them, interview these people, these dignified Americans, and put 1 minute of their reality on your TV. And they did. They interviewed people. They interviewed the crazy black guy on the pavement. And then that night, we stayed out in a tent. And the first night wasn't too pretty. I mean, people from the top floors of the building threw everything from food to other interesting excrements on my tent. And, but Miss Sewell and others were with me. And the next morning, I woke up, and the news had shown, and suddenly I'm sitting in this tent, and these huge men, like 10 of them, 10, 12 of them, come over to me and say, "Are you Cory Booker?" And I said, "Yeah, who are you?" And they said, "Well, we're correctional officers from a maximum security facility in Newark." And they said, "We're not going to let you stay out here alone, man. We're going to stand with you." Next thing you know, these 12 guys stand around with me. Before you know it, we started in the next 2 days having not dozens, but hundreds of people from all around the city of Newark. Ministers came out and said, "You're fasting and praying? We want in. We're going to fast and pray with you." We had community leaders coming out from the South Ward, from the West Ward to stand with me. We even had a mayor of a town called West Orange, which is a suburban town in New Jersey, drive his police cars down to Newark, New Jersey to stand with us in this area. Hospitals started coming out doing health screenings. Gospel choirs started coming out. We had businesses coming out to donate computers to the kids. Before you know it, it was a buzzing. We had people come from as far away as New York just to come sleep with me under the tent. Some of my very cynical friends said that's the only way I could get people to sleep with me. I get by with a little help from my friends. This dude in New York, this Wall Street, very wealthy guy, even sent over about 500 pizzas to feed everybody, which really ticked me off because I was on a hunger strike. But it was amazing to see, just sitting in the tent, witnessing the world transform, witnessing the love of Newark, witnessing the community coming together. By the 10th day, the Star-Ledger, our state newspaper, was writing editorials and beating up on the mayor, and he finally came out as well. But after 10 days of a hunger strike, after watching the owners of the building agree to make security changes and a lot of things happen, my spirit began to not be fooled anymore with this sort of partisan or anger or this us against them. I looked at the mayor when he came there. There's a picture that my colleagues will remember on the front page of the section of the newspaper. He and I just looked at each other and we hugged. He was my brother at that moment. He turned to the crowd and said that we are going to build a park right here where I stand, and we're going to leave police officers out here to work with the community until we solve the problems. It was an amazing experience. Now I get into that moment for me. You know, the mayor didn't keep all his promises. He didn't build a park on that place. I'm mayor now, we're building that park. And we're building a preschool center there on that site as well. But the moment for me, though, that has been a moment that I carry with me, that I re-experience in small ways in my community almost on a daily basis, came when we had the last prayer. It began with just 4 of us, 5 of us holding hands and praying, but the last prayer, there was about 200, 250 people, all in this circle. We could have wrapped around the high-rise buildings that were there. And in that crowd, there were Jews and people from the Islamic faith. There was a Catholic priest that were Latino, black ministers. We sat there and we started praying. Everybody was praying in a different faith and a different language even. But as I sat there, and I was weak and maybe hallucinating, but as I sat there and held hands with these people, I felt a strength in my spirit and my soul that I've never felt before. I felt as if just by the commanding of our common spirit, we could move mountains. And then I started hearing these words, these voices, that weren't necessarily the prayers that were being said, but they were echoes from our ancestors. I heard the old African-American saying that says, "Sticks in a bundle can't be broken." I heard the old Ethiopian saying that says, "When spider webs unite, they can tie up a lion." I heard the saying from Golda Meir when she says, "Jews together are strong, but Jews with other people are invincible." I heard those words written in a jail cell in Birmingham, Alabama by Martin Luther King when he said that we were all caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a common garment of destiny. And I heard the most powerful words, 3 simple words from a different language that are literally the hallmark of our country. There's infused and inspired the dreams of millions of people, the very essence in many ways of what our nation stands for. I heard e pluribus unum. To me, this is where we stand. What gives me hope is not individuals, because Lord knows I realize my weakness more as a leader than I realize my strength as an individual. But where I found and discovered in my time as an elected official, which has restored my hope, energized my belief for what's possible in America, and made me a guy who suffers from a serious case of BO, not what, stop it, Jermaine, over there, but bold optimism is what that stands for. Is this understanding that if we stand together as a people, there is nothing we cannot accomplish. Now, I'll tell you this. We have challenges in work. I'm proud of our strides and our accomplishments, and some of the young leaders sitting over there, they're doing things that are even shaking my imagination. We're the #1 city in America for the reduction in violent crime now, 40% down on murders, 40% down in shootings. Investments coming into our city. Investments coming into our city, we're spawning minority businesses, we're using technologies, amazing things happening in Newark. But I'll tell you this, I still don't have all the answers. There are challenges that are gripping our country right now that I haven't figured out. Ms. Jones would tell me, I don't have the answers either, but you should do something. Well, let me do more than that. Let me end with my favorite passage of literature that is more than just about doing something. It's actually unlocking the very secret and the very power of our country. There was a man who wrote when he was a young man, around my age, in the 1960s. And here we're celebrating the 45th anniversary of the March on Washington. Those were tumultuous times. And even in the difficulties and the pain, people still believed in America. Well, this man wrote at that time in a book called The Fire Next Time, a poignant story about the pains and the divisions and the racism and the hatred going on in America. But at the end of that book, he wrote these 2 pages that were criticized by some black nationalists as being too Pollyannish. But to me, those words are something I turn to all the time, because they speak truth then and they speak truth now. The great James Baldwin wrote at the end of that book, if I can paraphrase him, he said, I know what I'm asking you is impossible. But in today's day and age, the impossible is the least we can demand. For one is, after all, emboldened by the spectacle of human history in general, and Negro history in particular, for it testifies to nothing less than the perpetual achievement of the impossible. And if we, and by we I mean the truly conscious blacks, and the truly conscious whites who must, like lovers, come together and insist upon and create the consciousness of us all, if we do not dare it all, if we do not make the sacrifice, we're destined to recreate the Bible prophecy made real and Negro spiritual. No more, God gave Noah the rainbow sign. No more water, the fire next time. Let me tell you, as I stand at this gathering of delegates from all over the nation, let me tell you right now that the fires in America will burn and rage again. Fires in our inner cities. But they won't be the fires of hatred and alienation and despair and cynicism. They will be the fires of hope, the fires of love, the fires of opportunity. The very torch of the American dream will be raised higher and higher with each successive generation, casting out shadows not only where it is, but all over this land. This is what I believe. We have no right to believe anything else. But as King said, change will not roll in on the wheels of inevitability. It must be carried in on the backs of soldiers like us, who must continue marching forward. The work of our ancestors is not done. The dreams of our fathers and mothers have not been achieved. We must now pay the price and make the sacrifices that they made so that our children might dream again.